This message comes from Sony Pictures Classics with East of Wall, written and directed by Kate Beecroft, an authentic portrait of female cowgirls and their resilience in the New West. Set in South Dakota's Badlands, it follows a rebellious young rancher who rescues horses and shelters wayward teens while navigating grief, family tensions, and the looming loss of her land. Only in theaters, August 15th.
Hey, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Andrew Limbong. Murder mysteries are super popular. I've written about this in our newsletter, which you can subscribe to, by the way, at npr.org/newsletter/books. And I heard from readers that a big part of the draw for these books is that the mystery gets solved. This creates a sense that the world, however messed up it may be, is fixable. Liza Tully's got a different theory. She's the author of the new book, The World's Greatest Detective and Her Just Okay Assistant, which is about exactly what the title says. A grizzled old pro teams up with a green newbie at solving a crime. And in this interview with NPR's Ayesha Rascoe, Tully says that the draw of the murder mystery isn't necessarily just the idea of order versus disorder, but that it's an exploration of what makes us human. That's coming up.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. Indeed's sponsored jobs helps you stand out. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed and get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/book. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. This message comes from DSW. Where'd you get those shoes? Easy, they're from DSW. Because DSW has the exact right shoes for whatever you're into right now. You know, like the sneakers that make office hours feel like happy hour, the boots that turn grocery aisles into runways, and all the styles that show off the many sides of you. From daydreamer to multitasker and everything in between, because you do it all in really great shoes. Find a shoe for every you at your DSW store or DSW.com.
In a new murder mystery, a young woman, Olivia Blunt, is eager to impress her new boss, the no-nonsense detective, Aubrey Merritt. They have a big case hours away in Vermont. Merritt doesn't drive, Blunt does. The vehicle, a rattletrap of a Jeep with 200,000 miles on it.
At exactly 8 o'clock, Merritt emerged from the building. She was always punctual and abhorred people who weren't. Her disapproval extended to early birds as well as latecomers, which was why I hadn't gone to her door when I'd arrived 15 minutes ahead of schedule. I watched as she paused on the arched portico, and I clearly registered the exact moment when, looking up the street, she caught sight of me sitting behind the wheel of my ancient, rusted vehicle. Her standard resting face, never free from a pinch of suspicion, was overcome by a surge of horror, which curled into snobbish disgust, which subsided into resignation. I gave an awkward little wave.
The World's Greatest Detective and Her Just Okay Assistant is the new novel from Liza Tully. That's the pen name of Elisabeth Brink, who also writes under the pen name Elizabeth Elo. Liza Tully, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so tell us about this Just Okay assistant, Olivia Blunt. Who is she, and why does she want to work for Aubrey Merritt?
Well, Olivia Blunt is a 25-year-old fact checker for an online media business, and she has always had a love of detective fiction. And when she realizes there's an opening for an assistant to a really nationally renowned private investigator, she really wants to get that job. So she interviews for it, and in fact, she does get it, even though the interview was kind of a disaster on many levels. But her fact-checking skills really impressed the detective Aubrey Merritt.
So Merritt, she's an older woman, very sophisticated, but she doesn't, suffer fools or hapless assistants. In a way, you can look at her as this regal kind of almost Angela Lansbury, almost Murder, She Wrote, but she's no J.B. Fletcher because she's not very warm and nice. She's prickly. What drives Merritt?
Well, Merritt is a detective who She doesn't have special skills like Sherlock Holmes or even Poirot. She's a woman who has worked for 30 years to build her business, and she has done it the hard way. And she's got a lot of experience and a lot of smarts. And she does her detecting through three things: observation, logic, and psychology. And she believes that these are things that she can teach to anyone, even Olivia Blunt. But she's also spent 30 years of her life thinking about murder and about really like bad people doing bad things to each other. So she's kind of weary, and she's not really down with, having too much empathy for her subjects.
The pairing, when you think about it, it's kind of like that TV comedy Hacks. You have this older, established woman who's a bit jaded, and then you have the younger, often kind of impulsive woman, maybe a little more idealistic. What made you want to write a book with this dynamic, and especially in this genre of murder mystery?
Well, murder mysteries are kind of famous for having detective duos.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the assistant isn't as smart as the detective.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought of that as kind of a wasted opportunity. So in Olivia's case, she is smart and she is capable of being a great detective herself someday. But there's a temperamental difference and an experiential difference.
The death that they're investigating, it's kind of, delectable murder mystery stuff. You have this older, rich widow who police say jumped off her balcony at her resort at Lake Champlain. And then there's this strange suicide note. But there's something wrong with that picture. I mean, I didn't like the whole jumping off the balcony thing. That just already seemed a little off to me for an older woman jumping off the balcony. What was wrong with this picture? Don't tell us, don't spoil us, but you know what I mean.
Well, absolutely. And actually, one of the victim's name is Victoria, and actually one of her friends says that's not like Vicky at all. There's a lot that's wrong with it. And also her daughter, Victoria's daughter, Haley, she says my mother was a very fun-loving person who was really generous and warm and kind and gave a lot to other people. So it was not somebody you would expect to have taken their own life.
One thing that I also found very fascinating was that the way Merritt, when she was interrogating people, she would talk to them very differently, kind of based on their position. Can you explain how that worked? Because Olivia seemed a little bit taken aback by it.
Yes, and there's one scene in which Merritt interviews a housekeeper, and she's pretty harsh with her. And Olivia feels very sympathetic to her and actually scolds Merritt a little bit afterwards and says, you didn't have to be too hard on her. And Merritt says, look, we're here to find a murderer. We're not social workers. And that was kind of a slap in Olivia's face, but Olivia is going to hang on to the way she sees the world and the way she sees people. And that's one of the tensions between the two women.
But then Merritt's very nice to the rich people, but she's like buttering them up.
She's very good at manipulating people. So when somebody is, for example, a mansplainer, well, she'll flatter him. So she's very good at understanding how to get people to talk to her.
How do you figure out how to lay out the stories and then dribble the clues in and all of that?
Well, I work a lot in a notebook before I even start a draft. I kind of get a feel for what has a certain sparkle to me and what I want to write about. And then I just kind of wing it. I think in this case, it's hard to plant a clue ahead of time because it depends so much on where the person is standing. There's a scene in this book, I'm not giving anything away by saying one of the clues is a light that's going down a road on a very dark night. That clue is seen by a character who's standing on a porch on this night. I don't know how to plan for that. So that's something that happened as I was writing.
But did you know that, so as you were writing that came up, did you know exactly who had that light when you wrote it?
I didn't know. I had an idea.
You didn't know. Oh, okay.
No, I don't know exactly, but I know that that's going to be a clue, and I know it's going to be an important clue. And then a lot of times I'm going back all the time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of going back and rewriting to make that clue actually mean something in the book.
Why do you think so many people are fascinated by murder mysteries? Like what do we get out of reading these?
The thing that people always say is, well, there's disorder and the detective comes along and creates order and that makes everybody feel good.
Yeah.
But I think there's another reason too, and that is that, especially in this kind of murder mystery, where it's not a psychopath, it's not a serial killer. The person who does the killing is actually an average sort of person. If you look at the suspects, you can't tell which one actually did the murder. Underneath everything else, it becomes a story about motive. And then it also becomes a story about someone having some emotion, whether it's greed or anger or lust or something like that, that just crosses a line into their being willing to do something really horrendous. And that, to me, is the fascination of it. Most of us can stop before we do something terrible. And so this is generally a story about somebody who couldn't stop, and they went on to do the terrible thing. So it's about human nature.
That's Liza Tully. Her new book is The World's Greatest Detective and Her Just Okay Assistant. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
And just a reminder that signing up for Book of the Day Plus is a great way to support NPR's book coverage and public media. And you'll get to listen to every episode sponsor-free. So please go find out more at plus.npr.org/book of the day.
This message comes from Schwab. Everyone has moments when they could have done better, like cutting their own hair or forgetting sunscreen, so now you look like a tomato. Same goes for where you invest. Level up and invest smarter with Schwab. Get market insights, education, and human help when you need it. Learn more at schwab.com.
This message comes from Jerry. Many people are overpaying on car insurance. Why? Switching providers can be a pain. Jerry helps make the process painless. Jerry is the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/NPR. This message comes from Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile took what's wrong with wireless and made it right. They offer premium wireless plans for less, and all plans include high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and nationwide coverage. See for yourself at mintmobile.com/switch.